It goes without saying, the loss for Claire, Nick, Scarlett and Liv is beyond words. Our sincere love to you all. Pen's knowledge and love of nature was a significant part of her life. Her bird knowledge in particular was exceptional. Mr. and Mrs. Thrush and family had been making their home in the wisteria on Pen's back deck for a number of years. Pen took many photos of the Thrush family over the years, and they'll be wondering where on earth she is. And of course, we couldn't forget Incy Wincy Spider, who had set up house in the French door keyhole, right? And then just a couple of years ago, she cared for Mrs. Tiggywinkle, who's a hedgehog, family who had decided to make Pen's garage their home. Many birds in particular made Pen's backyard their home because they knew they were safe, were loved, appreciated and admired. Pen, thank you so much for sharing your life and your family with me. And I am definitely so much richer for your love and for your beautiful, knowledgeable person that you have been. Thank you, Pen.
I'll go first. Here we go. Hi for all of you that don't know me. I'm Paul, or Paulie as Pen calls me. Pen's my auntie, but really she's been like a second mum to me, and most definitely another grandparent, right there? Yeah. For our two kids, Keegan and Cameron. I've had a quick flick on Pen's professional Facebook page, and not really surprised about the thousands of responses to her passing. If I had $1 for every time someone would realise that Pen was my aunt and be gobsmacked and starstruck about Pen and her work, I could have flown in on my own helicopter. We all know she was a rock star in her chosen profession. Her reach was wide, and she changed and touched and helped mould so many lives in a positive way. Pen's eyes would light up when she'd talk about her latest workshop she had facilitated. It was always about the people she met and worked alongside. That's a different Pen to the Pen we love. Although there were crossovers with Pen's work, Pen was sort of highly protective and private and kept her circle of whānau and friends small. This is the Pen I know and the Pen I want to talk about today. A mum, aunt, sister, grandparent and best friend. I'm struggling here, eh? I've written a few pointers down about Pen, some of the lessons she's taught us, the fun times we've had, what she liked doing, some of my greatest memories I'll cherish forever. Some just a one-liner, some more of a story. Some of what I say over the next couple of minutes, many of you will relate to as you're part of that story. If that's you, I want you to cry with me, smile with me, and remember those great times. So this is going to be bloody tough. I'm actually heartbroken, Pen. But here goes. Karonga days, chooks, ducks, pigs, sheep, and the summer of Paul Simon's Graceland. And stout, glorious stout. So much stout that Mum and Pen's boobs grew at least 3 cup sizes. Campfires at Devies up the valley. Penn was the greatest teacher I ever had. I have an inkling I'm not alone with this one. She taught both Claire and I in Form 1, and she always loved the Rascals, didn't she?
She did.
You know, Wayne Steer, Aaron McDonald,
Yeah.
Daniel Cameron. She loves the Rascals. She loved you guys. So, a decade of late nights for 23 days every July in the Tour de France, viewing on our famous red couch. As per usual, Penn's cycling knowledge outsmarted mine in no time. Our Harry Potter marathons, fish and chips on the beach down the coast. Penn loved the barefoot walk along the beach. Penn was not fond of cats. At all. I'm going to throw that down there. She, however, did like a roast chook and chase it down with a Magnum ice cream. Penn was an amazing artist, most of you will know. The murals at Mum and Al's place, the amazing work she had done over her lifetime just blew me away. Penn loved it when my kids would pull a sickie to hang out with her for a day. Min told me a couple of days ago, we didn't know about this one, Beck didn't either, on one of these occasions they had a fabulous day at the beach, so fab that they both plotted for another the following day. Just before we arrived to pick Min up, Penn rubbed flour into her face so she would look pale, hoping that would be enough to get her a second day. As it turned out, it worked, and we've only just found out about it now. The endless amounts of meals at the local Thai restaurant we shared. Normally Penn and I would go the curry duck. Keegan wanted to say that Penn was an absolute weapon on a scooter. Penn was a lover of birds, trees, and all things nature. Oh, not cats, definitely not cats. So many of us will miss Penny's world famous Japanese meatballs. Penn created so many amazing books for all of us. The Crabapple book, endless holiday books with Scarlett and Liv, and many other we'll treasure forever. Penn always drives with a purpose, also known as 20k over the speed limit. She would ring from Taupo after a course asking, are we home? Then say, righto, I'm on my way, then turn up an hour and a half later. Penn enjoys many overseas missions, and she loved going to hang out with Auntie Faye in China. She just loved those trips. Penn's handwriting was so her own style of calligraphy, and I reckon you've got a bit of that too. Yeah. Penn was a true believer in tracing your dreams, following your passion, and for years mine was Ironman. Penn never missed a race. She would always support me till the end, then head out roadside banging pots and pans, cheering on other competitors until the midnight cut-off. One time she had food poisoning all day. She never missed a minute of my race. That was just Penn doing Penn things, an absolute legend. Jimmy, the East Coast van trip with Jimmy, Mum, Al, Claire, Justy and Daz. That was an epic adventure of a few scallywags with a broken V-dub. Did I mention that Penn didn't like cats? Penn supplied all the great nieces and nephews of amazing books that were so suited for each child. She seemed to have an endless supply of ginger beer in her fridge. And believe me, I tried to drink my way through it, but never found the bottom. Milos and ginger thins for the kids. Penn's eyes would absolutely light up every time Claire, Scarlett and Liv were spoke about. Penn would never miss a birthday. Her calendar on a toilet wall has a birthday on nearly all 365 days of the calendar. It's outrageous, eh? Yeah. Penn was the ultimate family person. She loved her family with all her heart, all her siblings, Nobby, Auntie Faye, Uncle Bruce and Mum. She would always talk so fondly about you. Penn was thoughtful, kind, fun. I'm nearly done. Her life, lived her life to her beliefs. She stood strong for what she believed in and fought hard for others who couldn't. She called a spade a spade. She had a huge brain, sometimes way too big for my little pea brain to follow. But just lastly, I want to thank Shelley and Pong, Mum and Al for opening your home and your hearts and making Penn's last days some of the best of her life. You guys are true legends, and Penn felt truly loved because of you guys. So Penn, farewell until we meet again to have a beer and share a slice of your epic pumpkin pie.
Kia ora, everyone. It was a bit hard to work out if I could speak today, but I've decided to give it a shot. Penn's got a huge life story with so many chapters. And I've been through quite a lot of them with her. But I thought the ones that I could share with you was about being parented by Mum, because a lot of her work was about parenting. And naturally, this story starts when we were babies. I don't know if you know, but I was born slightly physically disabled, so right from the start, Penn couldn't take the normal path that everyone else was taking, so she had to start the path less trodden. And while I was an only child, I wasn't, because Susie, you had Paul and Justy about the same time, so we were all three kids together. So I grew up with two brothers, Paul and Justy. So we were play centre kids first. And I think play centre had a big part of who we are, but it also had a massive part of who Penn was, because at play centre we were given plenty of freedom to move and freedom to play, but that's when Penn started learning about how to do this peaceful and respectful relationships under the guidance of beautiful, amazing women like Erica Bowater, no, not Erica Erica Donkin, and Margaret Bowater. And it was really in play centre where the foundations of her work happened, where she put everything into practice. She also gave us a childhood in nature. She made sure that we spent days on the beach, in the bush, on the farm, up the creek, outside. And that was something that she gave us because it was a treasure from her own childhood. Not only did she love us and care for us, me and my two brothers, but she loved all the cousins as well, like her own. And one of the things that Mum really wanted to achieve in her parenting was that we would all feel loved. That was one of the things that she outwardly said, that she wanted us to feel loved. As Paulie mentioned, we were lucky enough to have Penn teach us for a term when we were 11 in Form 1. So we got to see Penn in the classroom as well. So one of the things you've got to know about Penn is that she treated children like people, because she remembered what it was like to be a child herself. She treated children as people because she was still a kid. And she made school fun and real as it possibly could be. She got maths out of the way as quick as she could in the morning and then on to the fun stuff. But she didn't just parent us. She ended up parenting the people in each class that she taught, because she was the same person in the classroom that she was to us. She gave us plenty of freedom to move and respectful relationships. And she also extended her parenting to other people that came in with us siblings, because in Pen's words, there were the really neat kids. So I just want to say a few names. Anaru Fraser, Daniel Cameron, Wayne Steer, I see you over there, Wang Dag, Stephen Faulkner, David Rayner. You were always remembered by Pen, and she spoke of you so fondly. I think the other thing I'd like to say, and I think we all felt it, is that she delighted in us all. As the years went on and we left school and became adults and parents, Pen continued to parent us, supporting our every move and decision 100%. She gave us the freedom to move and play with a respectful relationship as we were adults too. Pen gave a new definition to parenting, and I think it was when she taught us that I realised that. I just want to say my final words is that Pen gave me one bit of advice to follow through my life, and I just want to pass that on to you now. She would always say to me, follow your heart, follow your bliss. That's all, just follow your heart and you can't go wrong. So to each and every one of you, follow your bliss. Thanks.
Yes. Politically incorrect, inappropriate, compassionate, interested, a listener, being there, being beside me, family first and front always, loyal, challenging, lover of detail, organised, lists, never late, love of children, birds, trees, the river, the sea, the seasons, hater of cats, lover of fish and chips, pilsener, fish curry, Solar Cafe, sadness when Solar Cafe passed, Cafe Melbourne, music, dancing, joyous, argumentative, always getting the last word in. Loves driving, a hoon, said she would love to have been a truck driver. Believer in the divine and everything, we are all interconnected. Proudly from Hauraki, she was born here, raised here, and raised Claire here. She was widely linked throughout Hauraki with whānau and friends and her work. Her Hauraki sisters in Women's Refuge, Matai Whetū, Te Reo classes, CAPS Hauraki, Play Centre, Parent Centre, Women's Health Council, were touched and influenced by their sister, mentor, Wahine Toa. We met 40 years ago, soul sisters journeying through life. Our lives and families intertwined forever. We have been on a journey together, supporting and acknowledging each other in whatever we did. Me on my midwifery journey, then palliative care work, and you, your work with children, and all that led up to you dancing in the heart. You would sit beside me and draw me a map at the kitchen table, birds in the window feeding from your bird feeder, sunlight pouring through, table resplendent with birds' nests and eggs and whatever treasure you had collected. Your excitement at whatever my next plan was, you've got this, Shelley. You were a lifelong learner, constantly finding the next thing and seeing where it all fitted. You travelled the world gleaning knowledge and always with the bigger picture in mind. Most people read novels, you read books. Spearheading campaigns, peace marches, saving Thames Hospital, drawing the cartoons, taking the campaign photos, making it all perfect, holding the vision. Calling in for a cuppa. Earl Grey, thanks, Pen. Don't stab the bloody bag, Pen. Your joy at watching the blackbirds on your deck in the bird bath. Parties, celebrations, joyous occasions, Christmas, birthdays, always good food. Lunch at Solar, then the Melbourne. Let's get on the car, Shelley. Off to Waiomu. Walk on the beach, ice creams. Your love of my family. How's Toll, Kate, Matt, Flynn, Karen? What are they up to? Even last week, how are those boys of yours? How's that Min? Your excitement at Toll connecting with his sisters from America. You couldn't write about that, Shelley, could you? Buying the children their own Christmas tree decorations each year. Katie got the fairy on the top, the boys never liked that. The joy of watching them remember each year as adults as they place those decorations on the tree. Swimming with Katie in the Kauronga River, winter and summer, she didn't care if the sun was shining, Kate was in the water. Eating yo-yos. Teaching Matty how to rock hop at Stony Bay and reading to all of them. Great debates around the meal table, you and Kieran going head to head, who would give in first. So loyal to me and my family you were, Pen, that you were vaccinated against COVID to protect them, not a second thought. Wonderful sayings. You couldn't have jacked it up if you tried, Shelley. We're lucky little buggers. That's interesting. That's interesting is a word that we've used a lot. Don't bust your gut. It just so happens. Be careful what you ask for. You were a hoon in the car, Pen. You got so many tickets through the Karangahaki Gorge. You finally worked out where the speed cameras were. Frustrated at my slow, cautious driving. Put your boot down, Shelley, get past him. You called a spade, never sucked up to anyone, were not overawed by people. You were real, very irreverent and politically incorrect at times, and man would we laugh about that. You challenged people, me included, kept me real, made me look at myself. You didn't judge, there but for the grace of God go I. Great parties, Lindau and wine initially, then moved on to Pilsener. Only the good stuff, Toll? Our roadies together to Pukorokoro to welcome and farewell the Godwits, wander on the beach at sunset, going to the hot pools at Miranda, admiring the flying corn cobs on the wall, holidays at Stony Bay, holidays in the South Island, exploring Central Otago and the glorious lupins and wildflowers, sleeping in the van in a creek bed and seeing the warning sign in the morning about flash flooding, sitting in our spa pool at night, watching the stars, listening to the ruru call across the Waitahi, talking of Claire's adventures, your face lighting up, any mention of Claire and Nick and the girls, celebrating Claire's marriage with the Cool Kids Club. What an amazing time that was. The peg competitions a la Paul Duffy, which were reenacted actually in the last few weeks in Pen's bedroom. Your joy at being a grandmother, phone calls and photos and visits with Claire and Nick and Liv lit up your life. You carefully choosing special gifts for them and their photos, some life-size, so they were always with you. Your pride in Claire and her mothering her children. Your love of Pon and Hamiora and support for the tinted folk. We were feminists, activists, mothers, soul sisters. Our spiritual journey saw us discovering Julian of Norwich together when we were in Norwich for Claire's wedding. We went to her chapel and were blown away by the woman who survived the Great Plague in a chapel not much bigger than one of these pews. Pen and I and Jenny Glenn later studied Julian of Norwich, and her famous saying is on the sheet: all shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. And that's been our mantra all along. Thich Nhat Hanh was a daily learning for both of us. We both had messages from him each day on Instagram. Ram Dass was a light ahead of us. We are all just walking each other home. You were committed to making the world a better place, Pen. Protecting the planet and the children was your life's work. You had a very public part of your life as a change maker. My Pen was a private person, a family person, a mother and a friend. I just realised that one of the big things that we did together that I haven't written is that as environmentalists, we were both op shoppers, and today I'm resplendent in my op shop gear. Pen would get pissed off. She'd say, "Where did you get that from, Shelley?" 3 years ago, you were unwell, so we went on a roadie to the Wairarapa. Neither of us had been there before. We explored the wild southern coast. We dipped our feet in the sea and wondered in awe at the beauty we saw. We ate fish and chips and drank Pilsner for lunch. You watched me climb to the top of the lighthouse. Mad tart, Shelley. You waved at me from below. Driving along, I said, "Pen, whatever this is, we're going to do this journey together to the end." We have, Pen. What a journey. The joy and the pain, the happiness, the sadness, the love, soul sisters. Roadies to appointments, stopping in the pouring rain to get horse shit for our gardens, in the dark at night. On sunny days, driving to appointments. No, don't stop, Shelley. The horse shit is free and the sun's shining. Let's wait till it's dark and pissing with rain. We were in awe of your fantastic health team, Pen. They were there alongside us the whole way. Tiffany, Glenn, Margaret and Maureen. Escaping Waikato Hospital late at night in the wheelchair, yahooing, screaming as we ran out into the night, driving in the moonlight home. Home to the sanctuary at Susie and Algie's, to love and care and laughter in movies and delicious food. Holding hands with Susie, saying we're lucky little buggers. Our sacred space, soul sisters, you, Susie and I, and Algie, our soul brother, just all walking each other home. Thank you for being my friend, Pen. All shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. And I just want to sing this. And she will always carry on. Something is lost, something is found. We will keep on speaking your name. Some things change, some stay the same. She will always carry on. Something is lost, something is found. We will keep on speaking your name. Some things change, some stay the same. So Pen, as in the rest of her life, directed us through everything. She chose the procession music into the church. She chose the two waiata. She chose the recessional song afterwards. And she requested that Gonnie and Sharon and I sang the waiata that we want you to join in. So this waiata is one that Claire's requested, especially from us. And so if you've all got the words there, we'd really like you to join in and sing with us.
E hara I te mea, no naine te aroha, no nā tupuna, I tuku iho, I tuku iho. Te nua, te whenua, te oranga, mo te iwi.
Michelle, I honour you this morning for the silent way that you have loved and cared for this family, and especially in the hidden ways that you have loved Pennie. Going to have Gail come now and share with us.
So much of what's already been said. I can feel the confirmation from you all. My name is Gail Lone, a long-time friend and colleague of Pennie. Pennie and I met in 1965, yes, at Ardmore Teachers College. Our association and friendship spanned 58 years. This past week, while thinking about Pen's huge contribution to her local, national and international communities on a range of topics and causes, Michelle and I were recalling all that Pen has been involved in over the years. Where she saw a need for action, she supported the cause to the hilt in a variety of ways. Whilst jotting some headings, Michelle and I were struck by the enormity and list of what Pen had taken on when faced with anything that she believed to be a worthy cause, anything needing immediate and particular action. Her decisions for action were always based around a deep sense of fairness, equity, equality, and belonging. Pennie Brownlee was an activist. Both of us married and had our babies in the early 70s, babies here, and were invited to join the Thames Hauraki Parent Centre. That is where we really got stuck into our growing interest around how human beings develop. There was something about Pen that struck me. The first time I met her, she was in high boots, had her plaits twirled around. She was just interesting to look at. And coming from Invercargill, very conservative at the time, she just intrigued me. We sat up into the wee hours of the morning after our parent centre meetings, surrounded by sheets of paper. I suppose that is familiar to a lot of people, coloured pens, and developing ideas, cradling our Milo mugs and chewing the fat. There began the plotting of a series of workshops for new parents and a deeper dive into the skills needed to working with adults. The Milo was exchanged for Lindau at some stage, Pen reminded me in the last couple of weeks. She was still right with it. The foundation that we shared in Parent Centre spilled over into a natural progression to the Thames Play Centre, all the while coming in contact with the most extraordinary group of people, some of you here today. And Margaret Bowater and Erica Donkin has been mentioned by Claire. working and learning how we might best serve our new generation of children. Pennie's love and knowledge of art and the natural world was of great benefit to us all. We had a centre to be proud of, and we were known. In fact, somebody said, is Thames the centre of education in New Zealand at one point? Pennie's first book, Magic Places, grew from that involvement. It has been revised 3 times and is still in demand. To this day, children from the 70s, some here, when Penn brought fresh fish to a play session for children to observe, handle, notice and express through drawing, painting or clay modelling. It was very experiential right from there. It was groundbreaking. We learned to do best for our children through our growing knowledge of how human beings develop and how best to set up an environment that matches the ages and stages. One of Penn's simple mantras was, and they were simple, does what we offer our kids match up with what we know about how they develop? Is it a match or is it a mismatch, Gail? Many people know that saying. Much of what early childhood centres and schools were offering at the time was a mismatch. Penn on my shoulder today would probably say, still is gaily. Penn's incisive mind continually raised direct questions and calls for action. These challenges excited many people, but rattled others. Penn never stopped there. She stepped into new and often uncomfortable situations bravely and with conviction of what she was about. Penn was a pioneer. In those days, Penn was more comfortable with children than she was with adults. When asked to take the role of the Thames Valley Play Centre Association as president, she very reluctantly agreed, after a lot of cajoling from the members. When it came time to deliver her end-of-year president's report, eventually she said, yes, I'll do the job, but she wasn't keen. Yes, I'll do the job, but don't ever ask me to make a speech. That was in those days, way back. Well, inevitably she was called on to do that very thing. Penn and I were sitting together for the dinner. Penn became more and more agitated, rolling her speech into a tight little tube. You'll be fine, I whispered. Not doing it, she replied through clenched teeth. Next minute, she slipped away towards the women's toilets and locked herself into one of the stalls. I followed. I pleaded with her to come out, now on my hands and knees, peering under the door. Come on, Penn. You'll be fine. Everyone's waiting for you. I sound like my mother. By this time, she was standing on the toilet seat, trying to get out the window. However, it was stuck. She did not do the speech. Hardly believable now when we think of the large national and international conferences where Penn has been the keynote speaker on many occasions. Penn was courageous. Penn was an environmentalist. And one of his sayings that many of you will be very, very familiar with is, to save the planet, we need to love the planet. In order to love the planet, we need to know the planet. So that's where all the work comes for us as adults, as facilitators, as teachers, that we take our children through to love this planet and care for it. So, following on from that, Penn taught us how to observe. She taught us about noticing. Gail, you went over to Hamilton yesterday. Aren't the elder trees near the airport gorgeous right now? And I kind of looked at her and said, no, Penn, I didn't notice. But all next week when I'm over there, after many such exchanges with Penn, I declared myself a remedial noticer and resolved to become a conscious noticer, because if I was going to do anything for children, to notice and understand and learn and write, that's what I had to do. So that has become a big part of my life over the last years. Just to illustrate this, I sort of don't blame myself totally. I remember her telling me about finding a nest of spiders on an underside corner of the family kitchen table, and how the family, there you are, Faye, were down on your knees, crawling around, observing and talking and wondering, is this true, about the find. And out came the magnifying glass and a reference book. After all of this activity, the spiders might have been rehomed outside, or maybe just left where they were, but never, ever destroyed. What does that say about the care of the natural world in Pennie's home? This was normal behaviour in the Wilson household. No wonder Penn was an artist and a poet and noticed things that I never ever did. I pondered on what I could expect at my house when I was growing up, and an uninvited creature was found. What comes to mind is a vacuum cleaner. True. A poet is a person who notices things that others just walk by. That was Pennie. Penn had led me into the world of observing, noticing, wondering and caring. I needed to help young people and their elders to be in touch with the world about them. That has stood me in good stead in the work I do with teachers and parents to this day. I'm still a remedial noticer, but much more aware of the importance of observing, noticing and expressing what happens in our lives and what we notice. Penn used succinct truisms for impact. Every word counted. She didn't mince words. They're available to all of us now through her online memes. Meaningful but simple. We both returned to the classroom in the early 80s, teaching 45 5 to 8 year olds in one double classroom at Moanataari, and some of those people are here today. And you talked about some of them, Claire. We loved them. Penn loved the rascals. Oh, I mustn't say that because you might think you're a rascal, whoever's listening. Many of the participants were sent to her course by their respective organisations in order to satisfy a qualification requirement. And some came to those courses with some attitude. Penn's, and this the third time it's been said today, down to earth, no nonsense, a spade's a spade style of teaching and expert facilitating brought great success and appreciative accolades. Each attendee left a day's course with a pamphlet summarising and illustrating the main points in cartoon format, clear, factual. Many also left expressing their new knowledge and respect for the Te Reti o Waitangi, which of course was the aim of the day. Also in the 80s, Pennie was invited to be part of a new report. I was talking with Nikki Green last night. Te Whare Whakahirahira. Founding members included Rangamarie Rose Pere, that was so impactful in our lives, Ruth Tai, Pari and Fred Cunner, and Hirini Melbourne. The mahi was to develop resources to support the revitalisation of Te Reo Māori in schools. Pennie produced her beautiful signature illustrations, recognisable anywhere, to support the text of the early readers. In fact, her artwork supported everything she did. Through this important work, Penn was spreading her wings and influence across the country. Whatever we, the two of us, experienced in our own corners of education, we shared, learned from, and applied to the next venture. They were exciting times. Penn's sense of equality and fairness was at the forefront of her work, especially when it came to the rights of women and the need for them to be represented at the tables of power and influence. Penn got political. We did all sorts of things for that, didn't we, Michelle? Wearing funny earrings and so forth, but we got political to make things happen. During the 80s, as well as the education of children, she explored and supported further issues that she was passionate about. She was in demand for her treaty work across the motu. Let's list. Penn was concerned for women's place and treatment in society, working to raise awareness in women's affairs. In 1986, she organised and led a Women's March for Peace. She led a march supporting nuclear disarmament. She was involved in establishing the Women's Refuge in Thames. She was an inaugural member of the Women's Health Council in Thames. Penn also led a march for the retention of our Thames Hospital when under threat. There is a photograph of Penn pushing a hospital bed along Pollen Street. That rally was clearly successful. We still have our hospital. She spearheaded the representation of women on the health board and worked hard to ensure women were represented at every level of governance. Penn was campaigning for manager for Michelle Ville to be elected on the Waikato District Health Board, literally rowing her across the Purangi River to get to a meeting on time. She ran workshops for Watchdog, raising the anti-mining issues on the Coromandel Peninsula. She supported and was a life member of CAP's Hauraki, the Child Abuse Prevention Services, and it certainly was right to the last. An active member and supporter of Greenpeace, reflecting her deep love for the environment. She worked long and hard for the establishment of REAP in this area, that is the Rural Education Activities Program, which ran successfully across the country. That didn't happen here, but REAP took her into other rural communities across New Zealand to run workshops on creativity, treaty, play, leadership. And she supported the establishment of the Matu Whetu Kohanga Reo quite a lot, and she still had time to play with us. Clearly, Penn was an activist. In about 1990, it was about 1990, Penn and I co-founded an education centre in Thames, Te Haiata. It was supported by the Waikato Polytechnic for Penn, paid Penn, and the University of Waikato for me. A unique setup, and it went successfully for 10 years. We had offices side by side. We moved together, but we went off on our own little paths as well. But we always came back for a two-person's staff meeting every week to see what we'd learned and who we'd met, etc. So we set up on level 1 of the old Thames Hospital Nurses' Home. It had 20 beds. Yay. 2 training rooms. It meant that we could run residential courses for 20 people at little cost. Not only did it support our own community, people came from across the country to enjoy and learn from what we had to offer. Penn was in her element. She brought her growing skills from all she had learned to date to each new workshop. This centre was groundbreaking for our work. Whatever we needed to learn to support our courses, we went and found them. Penn went off to Poland and learned the dances of universal peace. And I was invited onto a writing course in North Carolina, and she said, "Get there, girl, get there, we need that." So I went. And that helped us come to another level. We just kept going to whatever needed to be learned. So we were self-learners, and then we offered that. We took ourselves to the Conflict Resolution Network in Sydney to train ourselves in conflict management. we found there was quite a lot of conflict about. And that was for everyone in this community. It was a very, very good time that we had. We planned a series of 6 evening classes for the community, and learning to learn and leadership, and we even came up with one called the Skills of Eldership. And that was some time ago, so we found ourselves being elders really early, but something else happened. Skills from our children, some of our children, there's other, like the Sharp kids and so forth. Tim, you went off to Discovery. Our kids went to Australia. Pen and I followed to learn how to be a helper and to learn the facilitation skills that Michael Wall brought to that. Then, of course, in that time at Te Haiata, the Certificate of Adult Teaching called the CAT courses were run. And that was, I don't know, when they were run by Pen and the way she ran it, people loved them. And where it was a requirement for the Polytech in Hamilton, people still speak of those courses. They were long running. So she, and I've just said here, Pennie was a pioneer, courageous, outrageous, and out there. And from there, I've set up a 4-week writing course, a week-long writing course in Thames. The first one, Pen was with me every inch of the way, and people, to this day when I'm travelling to do my work, people say, oh, I came to that, and there's probably people in here that came to that week-long workshop. Pen said, now we can write properly, Gail. So we did. Pennie, meanwhile, was developing further stages of creativity course. So our officers were together. We did some of the courses together, but Pen always was loved to pop in, was loved and loved too. So what we found then, Pen was then spreading her influence back into the school system. Other courses, learning to learn, as I said, leadership, human greatness was a great course, partnership and learning, always learning, always on an adventure. Pennie was a trailblazer and celebrated advocate for all that is right and good in the world. The leadership mantle is at the end for you, my dear Pen, but not for your work. Thank you for all you have done for a lot of people. I'm just going to finish with a little. We shared a love of poetry, and some of you may know the American poet Mary Oliver, and it's just called, it opened at this the other day, with thanks to the field sparrow, whose voice is so delicate and humble. I do not live happily or comfortably with the cleverness of our times. The talk is all about computers. The news is all about bombs and blood. This morning, in the fresh field, I came upon a hidden nest. It held 4 warm, speckled eggs. I touched them, then went away softly, having felt something more wonderful than all the electricity of New York City. Now, Pen would be sitting here, welling. I do. Jim, Glenn is over there. Jennifer Glenn is sitting somewhere in Scotland at the moment. I doubt that she's sitting, Jim, but she's been working with Pen and a close friend of hers for some time, and this is what she is saying from Scotland. Pen has been an uncompromising, brave, active champion for babies and children, but also for their parents and for the very earth itself. Her ability to challenge others to step up, Her powerful, clear voice and her astounding depth of constantly updated knowledge, understanding and wisdom made for a special legacy. Pen will be with us for a long time. Pen set herself very high standards and expected the same of others. She was the best antidote for procrastination ever and could spell this out very clearly. How about with a dose of fresh ginger tea? Above all, I cherish Pen's sense of wonder, the delight and awe to be found all around us. A plum tree in flower, speckled blackbird eggs in her wisteria, wax eyes feasting on her persimmons, a fortunate hedgehog family in her garage. Always I left a visit to Pen later, connected to a wider view and purpose, and often challenged to open a new brain channel or two. A recent publication owes so very much to Pen. Her hours of exacting support, her creative additions and fine-tuning resulted in a far better book than I would ever have managed alone. And I have to say that that book is a book for teachers in secondary schools, so it's still reaching out the arm. With that wonder and a foil for Pen's serious stance on what mattered to her was a wicked and playful delight in the silly, the outrageous, the funny, the weird and the magical. Pen left this part of her life with grace, with connection to others, and always with that wider view. Sue, Al and Michelle have helped to make her journey very special, full of light, humour and love. It has been a privilege to be part of this. Pen, you're so close. Blessings on your life. Jennifer.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Good morning, everybody. I'm not sure if it is still morning, but I'm Lisa McKim. I've grown a friendship with Pennie over the last 35 years since I first met her, and I'm a parenting coach. Pennie, my first meeting with you was in a class you were teaching. It was in the 1980s. It was a full-day workshop on self-esteem for women, and it was a continuing education course at a Saturday at the uni in Hamilton. I instantly loved your ideas and the way that you taught. I do recall that you were a tiny bit daunting. Well, one particular moment anyway, I asked a question right after you had said something that challenged us to think. When I asked that question, you held your hand up like a stop sign at me. I didn't realise that the silence was required for a purpose, and I was mucking it up for everybody. Pennie, you knew your stuff, other facilitators didn't back then. I came to realise from you that just as music is created by the space between the notes, that magic happens in the silent moments after a powerful mic drop by an amazing facilitator. Invaluable lesson learned by me, Pen, thank you. It's always seemingly small things that create the seismic shifts, isn't it? Pennie, at a time when others were feeling really cool about using whiteboards that printed out their own notes, you weren't going to have a bar of them. You were the renegade who used fresh newsprint clipped to your freestanding whiteboard, and they were sign written with the most carefully chosen complementary coloured pastels and your powerful one-liners. There was always a beautiful border added. Your notes were immaculately tidy, artistically beautiful. Those sheets were always scored by some lucky little bugger at the end of every course, including me once or twice. You knew that the colour and the care in those sheets improved the learner's retention, and we benefited from that. Lessons learnt, Pen, thank you. Also in the 90s, I signed up and came to tending the Children's Fire, a 4-day stay at Te Haiata, just next door. I was already facilitating parenting classes myself at that stage. Pen, the Children's Fire is where you promoted in my heart, where you were promoted from a great facilitator to an absolute guru role model for me. That course impacted on me unforgettably, and I realised what a deep and true reverence you had for Indigenous wisdoms, either from our own tangata whenua and people like Rangimarie Rose Pennie, or from other First Nations people around the world. This opened a door for me of spirituality in my own life and in my work. Thank you, Pen, darling woman, for those lessons learnt. At Tending the Children's Fire, we also sang a lot, sometimes in class and sometimes in those fabulous stairwells. They had the most incredible acoustics. Pen, your skill at finding meaningful lyrics that supported the learning that we were doing was really incredible. The fact that we were repeating those lyrics over and over again to music embedded your lessons deeply. You cracked the creativity door open for me and for the many others who had immobilised our art at the sort of pack and save stickman level, and we benefited from it. Development, music, singing, colour, art were all cleverly sewn into the fabric of learning with you. Our lessons were learned there, Pen. Thank you. From you, I discovered I could discard some of the rather rigid ideas I had about being a facilitator. I'd learned, probably when I was growing up, that I should dress appropriately and not too casually if I wanted people to take me seriously. And then I saw Pen kick her shoes off and run the whole class in bare feet. And all the while she was building her astronomical credibility. I learned from you, Pen, that credibility is connected to the integrity of what you do and who you are, and that's it. Later, of course, Pen also introduced me to the concept of grounding, and then it all meant so much more again. The respect that you had for other cultures drew me to attend your Treaty of Waitangi course. Pen, you managed to tell the story of Aotearoa without judgment or condemnation, and yet jarred me into a new place of understanding about colonisation. I still recall individual stories that she told in that class. It's made an impression on my heart and changed my understanding forever. That's when I realised that Pen was an activist, and I understood why she loved the Top Twins so much. At Tending the Children's Fire, we also sang our hearts out. Sometimes, I've already said that, what am I saying? Next page. Hang in with me. Pen was tuned in to the most eclectic and complex writers, thinkers, practitioners, scientists, philosophers, Indigenous and spiritual leaders, sages and wise women, poets, neuroscientists, medical researchers, Eastern and Western thought leaders. And for me, that's what made Pen so astonishingly spectacular. She would read the hard books that I found daunting, and all the small print that was in them. And then, with her magic, she could distill all of that and simplify it down to the most beautiful threads, which she would then weave into a lesson for us. Even better, she found a way to link that all back to the fact that somewhere Indigenous people had known that forever. She would take those beautiful, distinct and woven threads and then add carefully chosen music and lyrics, art and creativity to lock the learning in for us. She was our maestro, who both composed the music and conducted the orchestra, and we flocked to her performances. Thanks, Pen. I bow my head to you for the many, many lessons that I've learned from you. 2002, Pen called me to tell me that she had discovered the work of Emmy Pickler. This had come to her courtesy of Maureen Perry. Maureen had blown Pen's mind, and she was amazed. Lisa, she said when she called me up, you're going to love it, it's right up your alley. Call her. If Pen said you had to meet somebody, you didn't doubt it for a second. I picked up the phone and called. I met Maureen and discovered Pickler, and my own journey began. Thanks to Pennie joining the dots like she so often did for us. Thank you, Pen. Lesson learned. Pen went on to write the world-class baby space training, and I sat in on the pilot program in 2005 with a number of other people who are here today. We were nestled up into the bush-clad Kawarangi Valley in the wee hall there, and like many others since, we were mesmerised by it. 8 years later, in 2010, a new adventure was birthed when Pennie and Kimberly Crisp were chewing the fat one day and concluded we should write a conference about play. It expanded from there, and 5 friends gathered at Pennie's house to start hatching the idea. David Spragg's genius in outdoor play and the importance of lighting fires, Natasha Kibble, genius practitioner in early childhood and exemplary parent, Kimberly Crisp, genius in professional development, centre owner and practitioner, Pennie, genius at freaking everything, and somehow me, as laughter is an important part of play and I love to do both. After much brainstorming, we named our baby the Sacred Urge to Play. Our first conference ran the following year in 2011. All up, we ran 7 of those conferences over the following years, always based at the very spectacular Tauhara Centre down in Acacia Bay. Sacred Urge to Play became a defining experience for all of us in some way. I honestly don't think there's been another conference like it anywhere. People felt deeply bonded to the ideas and to each other. There were always tears at closing time. I recall we once stood in a silent circle on the lawn and 8 P Waka Waka arrived to join us. They flew around and between us in a beautifully choreographed dance, and nobody hardly breathed. It lasted maybe 3 or 4 minutes. Without a word being said though, we all felt that our work was being acknowledged and blessed. There's not many conferences where things like that happen. In 2015, Pennie and friends led what was to be the first of 4 annual conferences that we decided to call the Pickler Approach. We all agreed that the level of understanding here in Aotearoa had grown to put us in a position of having some world-class practitioners who were really living it every day. That meant for the first time we need not bring anybody from overseas to speak. Beautiful, humble souls who were following the Pickler path every day right across the Motu were invited to come and present a session. The results were amazing and reminded us all just how well we can do things here on our wee islands. As always, Penn led the way. It's no surprise to me that Penn belonged in this lovely town of Thames. It seems a bit coincidental, or is it, that the main vein of gold in an area full of riches like this is known as the Mother Lode. Penn, you were our Mother Lode. We were enriched by your generosity, your friendship and your genius. You were our discovered treasure. You changed our lives forever, and most importantly, you changed the present and future lives of so many children. There is a poem that I'm just going to borrow from and share with you. We're gathered on the shore watching a beautiful sailing ship sail out to sea. She gets smaller and smaller as she goes until we're finally craning our necks and straining our eyes to see where she is. Finally, the small dot disappears on the horizon, but at that exact moment, people on another shore are saying, "Yay, she's here, she's arrived." My darling friend, bon voyage.
Oh, Lisa, that was just beautiful from all of us who have done that journey with Penn. Thank you. We'd also like to invite you to join us with this next waiata, which is all about the wonder of the woman, this woman especially today. E tu.
Ka waiata kia Maria, hine I pakai, pakamete mai e whare tangata. Ine puro tu
Well, that concludes the last of those who will be speaking with us this morning. We're going to take some time now and reflect on the life of Pennie by way of photos and music. The family have wonderfully put this together. You may notice that the pictures move quite quickly, but they'll be shown twice.
Just to see me stand over my bed, disbelieving what they're seeing. They say I must be one of the wonders, God's own creation. And as far as they see, they can offer no explanation. Newspapers ask intimate questions, want confessions. They reach into my hair to steal the glory of my story. They say I must be one of the wonders, God's own creation. And as far as they see, they can offer no explanation. Destiny from distant cities just to see me. Stand over my bed, disbelieving what they're seeing. They say I must be one of the wonders, God's own creation. And as far as they see, they can offer no explanation. Newspapers ask intimate questions, want confessions. They reach into my head to steal the glory of my story. They say I must be one of the wonders, God's own creation. And as far as they see, they can offer no explanation.
One of the many people that Pen loved reading was Rumi, and I'm going to read to her from In the Arms of the Beloved. It's called We Can See the Truth in Your Eyes. For ages you have come and gone, courting this delusion. For ages you have run from the pain and forfeited the ecstasy. So come, return to the root of your own soul. Although you appear in earthly form, your presence is pure consciousness. You are the fearless guardian of divine light. So come, return to the root of your own soul. When you lose all sense of self, the bonds of 1,000 chains will vanish. Lose yourself completely. Return to the root of your own soul. You descended by Adam, by the pure word of God, but you turned your sight to the empty show of this world. Alas, how can you be satisfied with so little? So come, return to the root of your own soul. Why are you so enchanted by this world when a mind of gold is within you? Open your eyes and come, return to the root of your own soul. You were born from the rays of God's majesty when the stars were in their perfect place. How long will you suffer from the blows of a non-existent hand? So come, return to the root of your own soul. You are a ruby encased in granite. How long will you deceive us with this outer show? Oh friend, we can see the truth in your eyes. So come, return to the root of your own soul. After one moment with that glorious friend, you become loving, radiant, and ecstatic. Your eyes were sweet and full of fire. Come, return to the root of your own soul. Shamus Etabriz, the king of the tavern, has handed you an eternal cup, and God in all his glory is pouring the wine. So come, drink, return to the root of your own soul. Soul of all souls, life of all life, you are that. Seen and unseen, moving and unmoving, you are that. The road that leads to the city is endless. Go without head or feet, and you'll already be there. Where else could you be? You are that.
Shortly we are going to commit Pennie to God's keeping. We're going to follow by the playing of her choice of processional music as we uplift and carry her to the hearse, a chance for each of you to lay greenery and pay your final goodbyes to her before she will eventually leave here. The family, the extended family, will then dearly love if you would please stay, join with them around refreshments and maybe Dilmar tea, a chance to continue to reflect on the gift and the life of Pennie. To those who are watching via the live stream, you will not know that in the book there was a spelling mistake. This morning the date of death was wrong and we changed it, but we never changed that one. I think it's a wonderful illustration of the fact that whatever the date was, Pennie never dies for us. To you, the family. Pennie could retain volumes and volumes of information at a time, never to go to waste. She always referred back to it in wonderful and fitting ways. Even up to the last week of her life, she was still importantly wanting to hold and retain as much as she could. One of the people in the Bible she enjoyed was Job, and I want to read quickly these few verses. And it says this: Job had 3 friends. Job was a man who was inflicted with so much illness he thought he was no longer worthy of God's grace. But it says this: when Job's 3 friends came and visited him, after hearing about all his troubles that had come upon him, they set out from their homes and met together by agreement to go and sympathize with him and comfort him. When they saw him from a distance, they could hardly recognize him. They began to weep aloud, and they tore their robes and sprinkled dust on their heads. Then they sat on the ground with him for 7 days and 7 nights. No one said a word to him, because they saw how great his suffering was. Pennie dedicated so much of her care and therefore her time to those who were less fortunate, to those who faced the huge injustices in many aspects of life, both human and creature alike. In this reading this morning, the thing that was brought out was the importance of Job's friends. It's in that I then respond to you here today. Thank you for your friendship to Pennie. Thank you for the times that you have seen, particularly in recent time, the suffering toll of the illness on her, and you have sat on the ground and sat alongside all that she was suffering, being a part of her life even in those challenging times. To you, the family, we cannot begin to understand all that you have lost. But she has friends here who have watched her both in the wonderful of her life and aware of the challenges of her last remaining days. It's ironic, though, that even in her illness, she was able to then return to Al and Sue's house and be wonderfully cared for, to have those around her caring for her. Michelle, who never slept for the past 2 years, it was, right, Michelle? It was a time for Pennie and for her alone, for all that she had given. These people here, her family, came around her and gave to her the thing that was most important. In the words of the song that was added to the slideshow, The Wander, the lyrics of which are on your order of service, were the three things that were most important to her: her love, her patience, not for cars that drove too slow, but her patience for the importance of others. And then, in these final moments, her faith. It's in that faith that we now commit her to God's keeping. I invite you, please, to stand together in honour of you. To you, Pennie and Brownlee, there is nothing in death or life, in the world as it is or the world as it shall be, nothing that can separate you from God's love. And so to you, dear lady, we commit now your body to be cremated, earth to earth, ashes to ashes, and dust to dust, in the sure and certain hope of your resurrection to eternal life. In Jesus Christ, your Lord.
We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Keep smiling through, just like you always do, till the blue skies drive the dark clouds far away. So will you please say hello to the folks that I know? Tell them I won't be long. They'll be happy to know that as you saw me go, I was singing this song. We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day.